a new political philosophy. The question of all questions is, can politics be rationalized? An affirmative answer to this controversial question would not take us very far unless rationalism is differentiated from the metaphysical concept of reason. In this writer by Emin Roy, first of all, he's trying to introduce to us a new kind of world order, a new kind of political philosophy that, according to Emin Roy, is basically an amalgamation of all the other world orders that have been introduced till now, and it is also different from all of them. Okay, totally different from all of them. So he starts off on a note that we need to realize what is the difference between rationale and reason. There's certainly a difference between what is rational and what is reasonable. Okay, so he starts off with a question, and he starts off with something that we need to realize, that is, there is difference between rationality and reason, and we need to understand that what is the difference. The cognate question is about the relation of politics and morality. So, must revolutionary political practice be guided by the Jesuitic dictum, the end justifies the means? So, by capping almost all the world orders that have been introduced until now, that have claimed that they will completely change the world and be good for everybody, etc., etc., so they have always had this one philosophy at their very start and at the very core, as they would claim it, the ends justifying the mean. So almost all the revolutionary regimes would claim that we have to attain a certain goal, and we have to go through no matter what method, what means, and what path, but we have to attain that goal, and that is how we are going to get the world order that we are dreaming of. The final sanction of revolution being its moral appeal, the appeal for social justice, logically, the answer to the latter question must be in the negative. So, what Emin Rai is trying to tell us is that the revolutionary regimes claim that the end does not or do not need to justify the means. That is, the means can be anything until and unless we are attaining the goal. So, according to Emin Roy, that is something very wrong. Uh, It is doubtful that if a moral object can ever be attained by immoral means. In critical moments when larger issues are involved and greater things are at stake, so what Emin is trying to tell us that okay, maybe we can make some temporary changes, some temporary behavioral changes to get to our goal. But when it's something that is highly unethical, highly against the tradition, highly against the established human values, and we make them permanent in a revolutionary regime, and we just claim that we are doing something to get that goal, that is completely wrong. You just can't go off killing people just because you're claiming that you need to achieve your goal. So, we need to do whatever it takes to get that goal, and for that, we need to kill 1,000 people. And killing that 1,000 people will result in us getting then achieving the goal. In that case, according to Emin Roy, the goal is not good. That should not be a goal in the first place. So, when practices repugnant to ethical principles and traditional human values are stabilized as the permanent features of the revolutionary regime, the means defeat the end. That means even if we achieve the goal, that is not the real goal that had to be achieved. Therefore, communist political practice has not taken the world, nor even the working class, anywhere near a new order of freedom and social justice. It has plunged, on contrary, the army of revolution, proletarian as well as no proletarian, in an intellectual confusion, spiritual chaos, etc., etc. So the communist world, the communist regime, the communists did claim that they will take the whole world to a new world order. It will be completely different, it will be beneficial to all, but it had failed to do so. In fact, what it had done is it had created an army of revolution. So both the working class and the non-working class, both of them, that is the proletarian that we're talking about, both of these classes are unsatisfied, are unhappy, and they have led them into spiritual chaos, into an emotional frustration. To overcome this crisis, the fighters for a new world order must turn to the traditions of humanism and moral radicalism. So, to all the problems, now Emin Roy is giving us an answer, and that is humanism. That is moral radicalism. So, radicalism, of course, means extremist views, but that has to be very, very moral in their approach. The inspiration for a new philosophy of revolution must be drawn from those sources. The 19th century radicals, actuated by the humanist principle of individualism, realized the possibility of a secular rationalism and a rationalist ethics. So the 19th century radicals, they thought of a humanist principle of individualism, that is, when the individual will develop, that is when collectively the people will develop. So they would focus on individualism, and that is the individual too is driven by humanism. That is most important. They applied to the study of a man and society the principles and methods of the physical sciences, positive knowledge of nature, living as well as inanimate, being so much greater today than 100 years ago. The radical scientific approach to the problems of man's life and inner relations is bound to be more successful. Today, we can begin with the conviction that it is long since man emerged from the jungle of prehistory, that social relations can be rationally harmonized, and that therefore appreciation of moral values can be reconciled with efforts for replacing the corrupt and corrosive status quo by a new world order of democratic freedom. So, what those people did was they tried to apply the knowledge of sciences, the positive sciences, our knowledge about the living people, living things, our knowledge about the inanimate world, that is non living world. They applied it to everyday life, and they tried to, better the relations of human beings. They tried to develop the social harmonies between people that was not present once uh, during the time of, say, prehistory, when people were just savages living together, and there was not really a sense of community as such officially. And with efforts for replacing the corrupt and corrosive status quo by a new order of democratic freedom. A moral order will result from a rationally organized society, because viewed in the context of his rise out of the background of a harmonious physical universe, man is essentially rational and therefore moral. So what Emin Roy is trying is that naturally man has tendencies. So the natural tendencies of man is towards morality and towards rationality. So when the man does something that is immoral, that is basically against the nature of human and against human nature and the nature of the man. So the man is rational, essentially rational, moral, and that is why he will always develop and prosper in a harmonious background, in a well organized rational society. Morality emanates from the rational desire for harmonious and mutually beneficial social relations. So it has been from time since time immemorial that human has always wanted and has always had tendencies towards developing good harmonious social relations, friendly relations, even before we had any idea of any such thing. Man did not appear on earth out of nowhere. He rose out of the background of the physical universe through the long process of biological evolution. Umbilical cord was never broken. Man, with his mind, intelligence, will, remains an integral part of the physical universe. The latter is a cosmos, a law-governed system. Therefore, man's being and becoming, his emotions, will, ideas are also determined. Man is essentially irrational. So, what he's trying to tell us is that today humans have grown. They may have grown very away, very far, and very much from the nature. Man may have been very much advanced than the nature itself. It may have had capabilities that the nature did not even provide it, that the man has built himself. So even the umbilical cord was broken, but still there's a connect between man and the physical universe, between man and the nature. Okay, and the nature, his and the nature, the cosmos, the physical universe is a law governed system. It works according to a law, according to a principle. Everything happens according to the rules and regulations, and everybody in nature, that is apart from humans, follow a certain code of conduct. So of course, by code of conduct we do not mean a behavior or anything, but a code of conduct means that an animal, say for example a deer, only eats what he is meant to eat. He will not go on eating anything else. So the man, the deer and the other people, other things of nature, they basically go about a conduct, a system of rules and regulation. And the man, because the man too has risen from this nature physical universe itself, the man has developed from this background in society, and sorry, this background in such a condition itself. And that is why the man will always have natural tendencies towards rationality and morality, towards being organized and harmonious. The reason in man is an echo of the harmony of the universe. So the reason that man are rational, the reason that man think, it is because it is an echo of the harmony. It is an echo of the man's desire to be harmonious and organized. Morality must be referred back to man's innate rationality. Only then man can be moral, spontaneous, and voluntarily. Reason is only sanction for morality which is an appeal to conscience, and conscience in its turn is the instinctive awareness of and a reaction to environments. So basically, what Emmanuel is trying to tell us is that the conscience of the man, when we say that, okay, for example, we do not lie, because whenever we lie, it's like there's a voice inside us that our conscience tries to stop us. So that conscience is nothing but a response to the environment around us. Okay, because naturally man is not supposed to do something that goes against its conscience, because though he has grown from the nature, but he always will and it always had a connect toward the physical universe, because the physical universe is a place from where the man has grown out. In the last analysis, conscious is nothing mystic or mysterious. It is a biological function, as such mechanistic on the level of consciousness. The innate rationality of man is the only guarantee of a harmonious order, which will also be a moral order, because morality is a rational function. So, in a man is innate rationality. What by innate rationality, what M. N. Roy means is that rationality is not something that a person grows when he comes into the world. A person, whenever comes into the world, he or she has already inbuilt in himself or herself the innate rationality. And that innate rationality, that the person is already born with, the rationality that the person is already born with, will always call for a harmonious order, which is moral, which is organized, which is systematic, harmonious, etc. Because which will also be a moral order, because morality is a rational function. Therefore, the purpose of all social endeavor should be to make man increasingly conscious of his innate rationality. So the purpose of all the social endeavors, all the social practices that we do, should be that the man becomes more and more aware of what is already present in himself, and that is the rationality that he is born with. Any effort for a reorganization of society must begin from the unit of society, from the roots, so to say. Such an effort to develop a new philosophy of revolution on the basis of the entire stock of human heritage, and then to elaborate the theory and formulate the principles of the practice of political action and economic reconstruction, therefore, can be called radicalism. So, what M. N. Roy calls radicalism is something that starts from the very root of the society, that starts from the very individual person, from the very individual human. Okay, and it can be applied to the whole humanity. It has its own theory, principles of practice, it has its political action, economic reconstruction. So basically, Roy is hinting at, a new order, a new structure in every aspect of the life. The individual life of the human, his inner feelings, his inner perceptions, politics, economy, theory, practices, everything, the whole society, and every aspect of the whole society. Radicalism thinks in terms neither of nation nor of class. Its concern is man. It conceives freedom as freedom of the individual. So radicalism talks about not a certain class, not certain groups, but it talks about the human itself. Therefore, it can be called new humanism, because it is humanism enriched, reinforced, and elaborated by scientific knowledge and social experience gained during these centuries of modern civilization. So, the new humanism, as we may call the radicalism, so new humanism is basically that directly confronts with the man, the individual person. It has nothing to do with a group, a caste, a class, a single group of people, ethnicity, anything for that matter. It concerns the human. And what Eminra is trying to hint us at is that the human has no personality. The human does not have any characteristics. The human just have biological characteristics which every other human has, and no such social characteristics. And humanism is something that deals with the biological human and not the social endeavors of the human, how the human is in the society, its position, etc. Humanism is cosmopolitan. It does not run after the utopia of internationalism, which presupposes the existence of autonomous national states. So, in internationalism, internationalism tells us to do it, or what internationalism guarantees us, is that all the nation states be autonomous, they will have their own power, they can be run by themselves, etc. Humanism does not work that way. It does not believe in the idea of nations, in countries, states, anything. It believes in the idea of one world, one government, not compatible with the continuation of national states. The one makes of the other a pious desire or wishful thinking. A cosmopolitan commonwealth of free men and women is a possibility, will be a spiritual community not limited by the boundaries of national states, capitalist, fascist, communist, or any other kind, which will gradually disappear under the impact of cosmopolitan humanism. This is the radical perspective of the future of mankind. So, what is new humanism? It is not concerned with any groups, any religion, ethnicity, any particular world order. It is just concerned with the human at the root level, at the very biological level, without negating all its social endeavors, social personality, social relations. And that is what should be the new world order, new humanism, without any governments, without any nations. And that is the radical perspective of the future of mankind. And he is calling this new humanism radical because it is the very extreme of everything. It is not that it's a mix of everything. It has communism, fascism, everything within it. It's totally different from everything else, because it concerns with humans, just humans, not workers, not females, not males, but humans, the biological species of humans.